But somewhere or another we got to let it go. Dear friends, that blog page was also God. When God's Holy Spirit tells you to pray for somebody, don't take it on that you're going to put it on your prayer list. Because most of us say that and we really don't have a prayer list. If we do, we forget to put it on it when we get home and we don't pray. What God has taught me is as soon as that request comes, you need to stop what you're doing and pray. If God tells you to write a note, send a message, prepare a little apple pie for your neighbor next door who's hurting, you got to do it. Eileen was talking earlier about the trauma of the body moving from the 5th floor down to the 2nd floor to go to surgery. That kind of trauma almost stayed with me to the day I came home. Several times they would have to put me on a gurney to take me to Dr. D. Pasquale's office or back to the Tampa General Hospital office or whatever. And the first day that happened, I had the Brandon Regional neglected, in a loving way, not to give me the pills I needed to be a painkiller. And so they put me on that gurney, and by the time I got from where Brandon Rehab Center to the Tampa General Hospital, I was screaming in pain. I could not take another second on that gurney. It was like it was a steel plate and it was driving right up my pelvic bone. And Eileen and I are praying right in the hospital. I mean, in the ambulance as we were pounding through the roads and hitting the railroad tracks, and everything seemed to be another pain for me. But as we opened the doors at the Tampa General Hospital, an angel appeared there that day too. Her name is Susan Partica. Susan is a nurse in that area too, and she knew that I was coming, and she met me at the door. Then they took me up to the 5th floor where I'd spent so much time. And there Charlie Huffstetler's daughter met us, and again was able to help us through some of that pain. And then by doing that, they were able to get to the doctor, and they were able to get some medicine out to me. And so within about 35, 40 minutes, the pills began to do what they were designed to do, and I made it that morning. The interesting part about that, though, is the doctor, when he saw me come in, let everyone know that this man is not supposed to be here. Each time we visited Dr. D. Pasquale's office, even in front of his reception area and all the people waiting, I would walk in the door and Dr. D. Pasquale would see me and he would say, "That's a modern day Lazarus, people. He is not supposed to be here." God is full of miracles. Also, he created a lot of miracles through you all. Now, Eileen might want to share with you some of the things that we received through you all.
You know, I will be forever grateful to my daughters. Now, Bethany is here with me this morning. Both of them, they came within the first few hours. They stayed with me for the first 30 days, and then they took turns every 2 weeks going back and forth to home and coming back so that I would never be alone and so that I would have their support and love. And I appreciate that more than they will ever know, ever know. But not only them, it was my grandchildren, my sons-in-law who took hold of the home front, my brother, his family, nieces, nephews, Fred's family that came, all of them rallied around to be with us during this very, very difficult time. But it wasn't just them. It was you, the church, you, our neighbors, who did the same thing, who rallied around us, who held us up, and who comforted us in so many ways. And by comforting us, you were able to bless others. As you brought meals up for 30 solid days up to Tampa General, and my daughter Pitty said, "Mom, that's 17 miles down to Tampa General, parked in that parking lot, paid that fine, then walked that food, and had to drop breadcrumbs to find your way up there and back to the parking garage." You brought food and you loved on us. And can I tell you, as you brought that food to us, we were able to share that food with other people up on the trauma center. They were going through difficult times, and most of them didn't have a church or a family who supported them like you were supporting us. And if I needed that evening, if the girls were out there talking to them and feeding 8 people, you brought food for 8. On the nights we needed food for 20, somehow you brought food for 20. And one night I watched a 9x13 casserole continue to feed, and I kept saying, there can't be any more. And I didn't see it growing, but somehow it grew and fed some 20-something people that evening. So by your blessing us, you blessed others. We had church going up there in the Tampa General Trauma Center. I don't know if you've been up there. It's a new center. And the trauma room, if you have to be there, is a lovely place to be. It is floor-to-ceiling windows looking over the bay. And we found a very small corner that had a partition, gave us a little privacy, and we sort of set up camp there. We called it the penthouse. And from the penthouse, people shared water, and they brought ice to us, and chocolate, and more chocolate, and more chocolate. And we ate it all, and we shared it with as many people as we could. The nurses would come out during their breaks, and we would share chocolate with them. But they not only came out to have chocolate, they came out to say, would you mind praying with someone in the next trauma room? They're going through a difficult time, and we told them that you were a praying family and you had praying friends. And so our pastors, our elders, just our friends were able to pray with so many people and make such a difference. When you brought communion to us, the strangers in the trauma center saw that we were having communion, and they came over and asked, could they have communion with us? And we were able to share that. It truly was a wondrous time. And I must tell you a funny story about the second or third day in our little corner with the partition, and I'm a very modest woman. Someone brought me, one of the girls, a clean sweater to change into, and someone was in the restroom. I couldn't get in there, so I got in the corner, and I had someone guard the little doorway to the partition, and I quickly zipped off a sweater and threw on another one. I was ready to go for the day. And as I came around the corner, Bethany said to me, Mom, where did you change clothes at? And I said, well, back in the corner. No one, it's in a little corner. And and she says, Mom, that's a security camera on top of your head. And so she said, Mom, you're probably going to be on YouTube as a stripping granny. So I reminded her that I didn't hardly know what YouTube was. I probably never would go on it, and if you were ever to see me, don't tell me. There was a lot of laughter as well as a lot of prayers that went on during this time. At one point, God completed circles, and we just kept seeing his love tap on us. A good example was Bethany had on a Young Life t-shirt, and a family came in, and they were out, it was obvious that they were going through some kind of trauma, and they saw Bethany's t-shirt. And the lady said, are you a member of Young Life? And Bethany said, well, not now, but way back when I was in high school, some 20 years ago, in Heidelberg, Germany. And the lady said, I was the leader in Heidelberg, Germany. And Bethany said, are you Debbie Baxter? And sure enough, God from Heidelberg, Germany, put her in the trauma center where we could share in prayers and support for one another. But it didn't end there. God presented into our lives a young woman who was having a difficult situation, making a choice of whether to remove life support from her young daughter. And in the evening, she would come and eat with us, and we'd share chocolate together. And one night as we were talking, we mentioned something about Bethany being in Okinawa back about 18 years ago. And she suddenly looked up and said, I was in Okinawa 18 years ago. And it came about that she went to the school across the street, lived down the street. They didn't know one another. But is that not a God thing, that he would bring that woman? We had something in common. We were sharing in prayer. We were ministering to one another. back at the trauma center at Tampa General. One night, about 9 o'clock, a man suddenly appeared and he said, "I'm looking for the Stubbs family." And we said, "Here." And he said, "I work out at McDill, and I have a friend who goes to Bay Life, and he has told me about your husband, and I've been praying, and on the way home, I felt the need to stop and pray for you."